Okay, here's another interesting find, not far from Egypt, in the Sahara Desert. These are the skeletons of Niger. And where they're located at is in Central Africa, really deep through the Sahara. And Paul Servino, or Savino, the archaeologist that's famous for finding dinosaurs, found these in the Tenerife region of Niger. Some skeletons that were over 10,000 years old. Now, after first discerning him, there was too much turmoil in the land, and he actually had to leave and wait for another 5 years before he could come back to it. And I hope it shows up in here, but this, let me cut contrast here. Over here, it's where they're finding him. It's actually a full settlement, some slight built walls, a half circle built over here. Don't know if it fully rounds off. They've never totally excavated it, but it took him 5 years to actually wait and then come back. And so once he came back and was able to do it, they named the site Gobero. And once they came back and were able to start excavating them, what they were finding is these Canaanite burials, where the people are laid on their side in a fetal position, right? And it seemed like it came out to being two different cultures, actually, that were here. But one of these guys was born with his head in a pot, another one with a turtle shell below his head, a small teenage boy, a lady and her two children here that's just quite unique. She seems to be grasping them. So these are plotted out burials, too, that you can see here. And deep in the Sahara here was back whenever this was around what would have been an oasis. And something like this was in this same area where it didn't quite have the same effect. Now there's two cultures, the Kiffian and the Tenarian cultures that are there that they find, and they seem to be separated by more than 1,500 to 2,000 years, but one of the skulls is definitely cooked a lot more than the others and elder, and they knew that first. It seemed to have rougher bones and was a little more Cro-Mag. Comes about 8,000 BC, and they died out after about 1,500 years, somewhere around 6,500 BC, or they could have drifted a little farther than that. If you look, here's a Caucasoid skull right here too. Both are showing that. And it's a Tenerife region people that were in the same area. Real nice teeth that are there. Their realm lasted for about 2,500 years. They died out between 3,000 and 2,500 BC. And at that time, the desert was already pretty much had engulfed and taken over the entire region. And basically, you were at an oasis that dried up on them, and they ended up leaving that area. But they did leave their remains, and we were able to see them all the way back to this time. You can look up the historical documents on it and some of his research even onto it. So it's pretty neat. But there you go. Caucasians, Central Africa, some 10,000 years ago.